Thank you so much, Peg and Linda. And thank you, Nancy. That was beautiful. So I'm going to read two really short pieces from this book, The Sky Isn't Blue. And this first one is called After Rain. After rain, the perpetual anticipation of the next rain. After rain, the blue that is left over, that lingers, that breathes anew. After rain, the sky in the rearview mirror, the little moments, Stairway to Heaven playing on the radio, the crescendo, the birds, and why. After rain, the so much that is blue, so far, so unreachable, so present, its flickering noticed only via distance. After rain, the crisp air that taints my lungs with blue, that lies beneath that immovable, impassive sheet. After rain, you alone, you here. After rain, the impenetrable sadness of all of this. That is, I'm driving in the car singing to Nashville's Nothing in the World Will Ever Break My Heart Again, and I'm crying though I'm not sure why, and somehow it seems that all of the sadness of my entire existence, all of the sadness of the phantom individuals that have dipped in and out of my life, all of the sadness of my mother, the sky, the world, it has all caught up to me in this moment. And the harder I cry, the more I can't stop singing, and the harder I sing, the more I can't breathe, and the density of the tears that fall, because somehow in this moment, I have managed to condense the entire world's heartbreak into my own, and I can still remember your voice when you said those things that I already forgave you for. And when I look up, I see the rows of birds perched up on the wires, and the tears come more quickly, happily, urgently, willingly. Why is the company of birds such a reassurance? Why, under the scattered light of this vast and beautiful and miserable city, why the birds sitting bring forth that naked smile that only the birds can bring? Once I stared into Death's face, but he didn't return the stare. Once I lay my head on a stone, but the shadow above me was too heavy to support, and I had to give in to the weight of it. Once I summoned the ghost of my mother, but was too ashamed to look her in the eye, and left her there standing expectantly. Once I remembered that I loved you and wanted to try harder, that I was willing and desiring to reconcile my deepest flaws and failures and insistences for you, that I wanted to be with you, that I didn't want it to be easy, that I wanted it to be whatever it would be with you. Once I could have walked away, but I didn't. After rain, we already know that it all looks different. This city, you, me. Rain changes everything, and we only know to keep deferring moments until the next time it rains. When it rains, the people in the city seem to be in perpetual deferment. The clouds that move as the rain refuses to abate. The rain lasts for as long as it lasts and no longer, and during the rain it either feels like a single glistening moment or like a deeply black eternity. I wonder how wet I can get before I am filled to the brim. Because of the weather, plans change, and so do my eyes. I can't tell colors, and it's raining all over the place, and I just want to sit down in a puddle and soak. After rain, no matter how torrentious it might have been, we wonder, where did it go, the rain? How could it leave us so quickly? The air is thick. No, it isn't. It's rather thin now, and all the bodies that accumulated inside of houses under rooftops slowly stumble out and blink and stutter. After rain, we stutter. No, after rain, we wait. And then I'm going to read this essay called The Dogs, which I think is kind of, there's actually lots of dog art that I've noticed. A black and blacker ocean beneath a blue-black sky. On the coast, white foam that bristles upwards as the tide rolls in. The ocean thin, merely stretching out for infinity, merely unseeable, unknowable, yet something happens, something always happens. When I write words in the sand, the water washes away the words in the sand. When I write the words on a page sitting in the sand, the wind covers the words with sand. Is this the state of things? How are my memories different as the tide rolls in from the memories that surface as the tide rolls out? At the moment, what matters is that the dogs beside me are cold. They are breathing in the exhaustion of ocean air, sand in their beards, and stunned by windy whispers beneath their chins. A different approach as dreams move across the waves and hit bodies. These dreams used to mean nothing to me, only the location of the moon. Aren't we compelled to remember things over and over again? Nothing remains intact under the increasingly heated atmosphere. Advocates of forward momentum, but the pronouns are equally fascinating. The dogs bark from inside the home. The home, inhabited equally by air and bodies, creaks and moans under the weight of the wind. The dogs lift their heads at a sudden noise. A hand turns a doorknob and the dogs bark. Who is entering their home? The air owns the home more than the dogs do, but the air is silent, complacent. The gestures of dogs are translated into empathizable ones, but when they cry, and when they sleep, they sleep. The dog barks because he is scared. The dog barks because he doesn't like you. The dog barks because he is alarmed. The dog barks because he is sending a warning. The dog barks because he wants to be heard. The dogs do what they're told, or so it seems, but at the risk of distorting sincerity into honesty, we breathe. The dogs breathe better when their master is home, the breath using the air built up in the space over the course of prolonged time. The dogs have been at home for an unspecified but prolonged amount of time. The master knows how to keep time, but for the dogs, time has simply passed. When the master breathes, the dogs can follow, and breathing becomes knowable again. The bodies become knowable to the other bodies. When the dogs breathe loudly and calmly, the master breathes a sigh of relief because their relief is her relief. And in the home, the breathing bodies huddle close together for warmth, the gray sky yet looming outside the window. The master wonders if and when it will rain. The dogs know that it will undoubtedly rain at some time in the future. The master wonders what the dogs are watching for outside the window at night. The dogs are just watching the outside of the window at night. In every story there is a home and a dog barking. This story starts with the dog barking inside a home, and then the reader asks, why is the dog barking? The dog is barking because he is scared. The dog is barking because he doesn't like you. The dog is barking because he is alarmed. The dog is barking because he is sending a warning. The dog is barking because he wants to be heard. In every dog there is a strong and urgent desire to love and to be loved. The incapacity of humans to be their primal and sincere selves is the incapacity to inhabit the dog the way the air occupies the home. We only know to coddle the dog and to love the dog as a dog, or in some cases as a child, but a dog is more than just a dog, and we are mere humans. When an airplane flies overhead, to the dogs a noise, to us an airplane that has just taken off. Contours of a personal narrative include time, character, space, but also hair, fur, noses, sand, points of transition into others. The dogness of dogs as having hardly anything to do with dogs. Consider the quiet of the morning and then the sound of two dogs grazing. Consider the darkness of night and then the light of the moon, only minimally obscured by the moving clouds. The dog's head on your leg is all the love you need, all the love in the entire world. One dog places his paw on his master's leg because he knows this is the thing to do. The master wonders how the dog knows what she needs right now, another warm body that affirms her existence, placates her need for something. The other dog walks over and yawns and curls up next to her other leg. The master wonders whether the dog is cold or sleepy or lonely. The dogs wait for the master before going to bed because in this house the bodies sleep together, and it is nighttime when it is observed as such by the master. The master persists because she has the dogs and their love is heavy and beautiful and she knows to persist for them. The dogs persist because they know to persist because that is all they know. The dogs are sleeping because they are tired. The dogs are sleeping because their master is sleeping. The dogs are sleeping because it is night. The dogs are sleeping because it is time to sleep. The dogs are dogs and they sleep because they sleep and they breathe because they breathe. For her own part, the master tries her best to not make any more mistakes.